All right, we are live with the epilogue session for Embers of the Phoenix. Do you guys remember
Hello.
where we kind of left things off? Do you need a quick reminder?
Sure.
We killed the queen.
Perhaps this
But it
session.
was a demon.
Yeah. At first, I thought you were joking because I had a game where everyone was a demon at the end, which was super annoying. But anyway, but that wasn't actually the queen. Um, yeah. So just a quick refresher: Aldebaran decided, or Bissy decided to go the non-lethal route of trying to hide behind the walls and buy you got the secret ops team, aka Ronald's team, Ozern and Zoo, time to end the war or end this assault peacefully, or as peacefully as possible, by just taking out the queen or the person leading this assault to basically take away the threat of if they were to retreat, they would be killed, etc., etc. When the leader falls, cliche, the not so loyal troops disband. Or in this case, they actually joined Bissy since he is quite the persuasive individual, and his tactics were to basically have a limited loss of life. Ronald is
And
backing
very
him.
specifically to employ a series of known minorities that would sway the balance of the society over to the ideas that he knew would happen. The queen's first choice would be goblins and orcs as frontliners, and it would work out as an incredible opportunity if he could take advantage of it.
I think I also missed this part because I think it happened after I went to bed.
Oh, well, that's good we caught you up then. That's basically
So
it.
the Queen's troops joined Bissy?
Not all. So I've represented.
The goblins and orcs largely, and then sorry, you should be doing this, but I keep.
I don't care.
But yeah, the goblins and the orcs, the large majority of the goblins and orcs joined with Bissy. Some of them went back to their homes. Most of the humans, I'm assuming, retreated back into that weren't slain, retreated back to the other camps.
Yeah, so I've kind of represented each force's fighting capabilities based on the number of icons I've assigned you. So Bissy originally had 2, and the Queen had 2, but there's a third one that I've assigned that basically that's the orc and goblin contingent of troops that have now joined Bissy's forces. So he's kind of got 3 kind of battalions. He's got 1 protecting the rear. He had 1 protecting the front, and now you have 2. 3 groups worth of units to deploy as you see fit. The Queen, as I'll just refresh you, the Queen originally had Islud, but they backed off, representing by their her sigil back here. Go to the ping tool. So they have set up camp right across this bridge, and as soon as they retreated from Islud, Bissy quickly retook the city and fortified it. We can go in the details on how he plans on fortifying that further, because they quickly see within, it's within sight of the city pretty much. 12 miles away, there's her large encampment is set up there. And it is unknown what the future holds for the Queen, what her plan is. For now, her troops hold that position. And that's where we kind of jump into game. Before we do anything, I do want to know how Islud is being reinforced from a potential assault. Are you moving any of these troops over?
Actually, if you remember when Bissy was first in Islud, and we dealt with that situation, Bissy wanted to have a greater majority of influence between the orcs and the goblins, especially the orcs that were there. That's part of why Gabby became such a prominent feature. It took Bissy quite a while to negotiate the council, included having some level of inclusivity. And now that Islud has sort of fallen apart, he will, I'm assuming probably some of the leaders made it to Aldebaran because we did an evacuation of it initially.
Yes.
But in doing so, Bissy will push the negotiations to be we're going to send a few more people. We're going to send a military battalion there, but they need to be willing to compromise with the orcs and goblins and bring more of them into the leadership. If they're going to die for you, the least they can do is be representative among you.
And what exactly do you want that to look like?
Ideally, they will have a right to. Some of them will have a right to stay there following the war, be allotted land. It doesn't necessarily have to be within the center of it, but it can be land outside of Islud, as long as they're willing to work and maintain that land. Among the council, there should be representation equal to. There should be representation on the council in equal proportion to what the council currently has in Islud. So he would ask, like, there would be negotiations. He would try to draft up, like, how much area around Islud do they think they can expand to, and what would they be willing to offer to the orcs and the goblins in terms of land. And Bissy would obviously try to push more and more to get it just a little bit closer to having a majority of, not necessarily a majority of orcs and goblins, but like getting the number to be more like a third instead of 5 or 10%.
Yeah, just give me a single D20 plus. Jesus Christ. Plus 40. I don't even know why I asked for that. Yeah, at this stage, just coming off a victory, you'll find very little pushback for any suggestion you make. It's not a dictatorship, but pretty much if you're saying something, it's happening.
Yeah.
So
he would encourage them as well to, if the arena still stands, to use the arena to start training troops. Because as it stands right now, it is likely that even if we win this war, we will probably not be taking Rachel. It is not our plan to usurp the queen. It is our plan to maintain individuality, and that the queen will not rest if this is the case. She will probably pull back, allow a Pyrrhic victory, and then push even harder. So any plans that we can have to train people forward ahead would be better and more opportune.
I think that's ideal, because what I had been thinking about for Osrin is that, still I would be willing to kind of take part in strike missions as necessary, like when we need a highly skilled force, but I think otherwise I'd want to transition to training other people, since I'm the best that you can get with my instrument. I want to train other people so that we can have, build up the strength of our force as much as we can.
Okay, so does that mean you kind of want to be leading this battalion of troops of orcs and goblins that are kind of going to take up hold in Islud? AKA, are we splitting the party at this point?
I wouldn't want to be a leader of them. I would just want to be in a training capacity.
Okay.
I think Ronald would be in favor of you, like, sort of training those people, and maybe even try to push you into a bit of a more leadership position. I think Ronald really...
Yeah, I just want to focus on helping them master their craft.
I think Ronald would feel dejected, but if you're not willing to accept entertainment...
Shouldn't we want one of them to be the leader? I feel like that would be empowerment, right?
Well, I mean,
you can find one and train one.
You are a hobgoblin, so you match like the representation of the forces, so you would be a good pick.
Yeah.
And you are...
But I'm not somebody who was conscripted. Like, it's a different experience that they've been through.
Sure. But you are definitely one of the... Because you guys are level 8, right? So you are the strongest hobgoblin/goblin amongst them, if that matters. You'd be a good trainer for sure, that's for sure.
But Ronald's plan will ultimately cause the party to split. Ronald's plan is to help not only forge weapons for the people of Aldebaran, for the troops of Aldebaran and have them transported to wherever they need to go, but also to like work with that team of orcs and goblins that he was like putting together in the mines to deal with the issue deep in the caves, and would want to be sort of a resource to make sure that this kind of thing gets finished. There's something about the giants thing that really like echoed strongly in Ronald, and it feels like a large goal that he wants to achieve.
I'm sorry, I may have not have followed that. So you're focusing on that cave, the mine cave thing, right? And then you're also wanting to look into the giant.
No, not the mine cave, not the thing in the mine. What he wants to actually have them focus on is like what initially was the problem in the mine, which was the giants controlling the goblins and orcs that were trapped beneath there, or trapped within there, and then hearing about like what was going on to the west in the mountains over there with their goblins. Like now that it's clear that it's in multiple places, somebody needs to get to the bottom of it and clean it out. Okay. And this seems like getting a crew together of like-minded individuals who could at least communicate with the goblins reliably seems like the right way to do it.
Okay.
And he knows that like right now there's not going to be a lot of coin to go around, but he can at least use the contacts he has with the dwarves for mithril and other things to produce items for them as they need.
Okay. Let me just make some notes about that. And you're hand-picking this kind of thing, or how's that working?
This is going to be largely hand-picked. There is some like focus. He does not want this to be a group like filled with a bunch of other races. Sending humans and dwarfs and other things down into areas where there's going to be goblins is going to make them feel unsettled, or feel like, there shouldn't always be an expectation that some human or like humanoid will come along to save their kind. It would be nice to have them like be represented with their own saviors, with their own heroes.
Okay. You mentioned city expansion for Islud. How do you want to do that? Do you want to start chopping down trees and making the place bigger, or what kind of thing are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a pretty dense forest there. We can probably increase we can probably work with them to create a better forestry initiative there to build out the city. It doesn't need to get massive, but they are in good proximity to the sea. They have the river there between them. They should be able to find like good value within that area. If it turns out not, and it turns out there's not as much that can be done there, we can reevaluate. But it seems like there is potential there.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sectioning this area off for development, as you've indicated. It seems like you've indicated they should be making use of their shoreline, so they will also be having a dock for trade that I will indicate eventually that they're going to work on making. And I'm going to make this color a more construction-y color.
A lap butthead.
All right. And before we get to any more character stuff, reinforcing the city, you've moved a battalion. Any specifics? Just general amount of people there? Preferably
trying to put up some sort of like wooden palisades to give at least some protection from anything coming inbound, at least temporarily. What of the logs can be reused, we can repurpose into city development later on. But if we can start sending some people out, getting some wood together, getting some palisades built to give us at least some additional protection from the invaders.
Okay. So Osrin's in the gladiator arena training up these troops better. Ronald's crafting, forging, handpicking people to deal with some other things. What is Zoo up to during these times? This is kind of like days start to pass and months start to pass. So what is Zoo up to, if anything?
The team basically dissolves, so there's not that, so keep going though.
Wait, what was that?
Repeat yourself, you're fine.
I was saying, like, the team's not together, so there's not that to go with, so...
Yeah, so you could join Osrin in training some people in archery. You could ask Ronald if there's anything you can help, and I mean, you're not much of a crafter, but I'm sure there's some material gathering you could do or something you could be helpful with. Or
yeah, you could definitely help train people on the bow if you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my area of expertise.
Yeah, there's always scouting missions, keeping an eye on the Queen's forces. Since you have good stealth, you could be offering your services that way too. Not sure what Zoo would prefer.
The only other thing that I was thinking of was finding some way to maybe help towards the whole goblin situation.
Mm-hmm.
Since that is kind of personal. I'm not sure how Zoo would help. But if she saw, like, progress in doing something with, like, the whole bigger, like, human war, then, like, maybe there is something more that can be done about the giants.
I think Zoo would likely work well. Let me double check Zoo's skills again. But I think Zoo would do well as like somebody who's going in and getting good covert information, being very stealthful, trying to dig down to the bottom of it. I don't think Zoo could solve these problems on her own, but could definitely like get in, find the answers to the things that need to be answered, and get back out and let us know what's going on so we can send an efficient team in there. Ronald could easily give you the boots of teleport. And with things like the cloak of etherealness, the ring of invisibility, I mean, you really are going to be like an unseen ghost, making your way through the tunnels, getting the answers, and then disappearing once you've found details.
Extreme scouting.
Yeah. I mean, having a scout at your skill level is, in all honesty, extraordinarily useful. I mean, inherently you have an insane stealth score before applying things like the invisibility that you have. And then being able to go ethereal on top of it is like, oh, I've managed to mess up, let me disappear anyway. it means you'll probably use less of your weapon unless you've been compromised and just need to get the fuck out. But it's, I think, one of the most useful ways that you can, one of the most useful things you could do for the team.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of weapon usage, I also imagine, like, in off times, I would still be, like, hunting and using it. So I just like to do that. But...
Mm-hmm.
Or like, yeah, to feed yourself.
Alright, yeah. That's doable. Are there any specific areas you'd want to be scouting out or trying to gather information, or...?
I think the starting place would be the area we know of northwest of Komodo.
Oh,
That's
wow,
where
you're
we
going to
first
send her that
found out.
far? Well, she has
Yeah.
the boots of teleport, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm now encumbered. That's why my stealth is wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna... I was looking at your sheet to try to figure it out because they sent you the boots, so...
Oh.
Okay.
Who's got the chameleon?
Yeah, who's got the
What?
chameleon
They
ring?
have the chameleon ring right now, which I think is the same as your shadowed coat. Let me check. No, it's not. I'll send you back the chameleon ring too, because Ronald is definitely not going to need that.
No one wants to see him forging.
No, I want it to stay. I want it to be a secret. Oh no, you know who ran off with the ring of chameleon power?
No.
Waz
Waz
did.
has it?
Oh.
That's gone.
Didn't you say you had an update on what Waz was doing?
I do, but I want to save that for last.
I guess I'll just have to stick with my plus 30 this time.
Yep.
And so, what are your goals here? Are you just trying to get general info, or are you trying to get as close as you can to see what, like, overhear things? Like, what are you trying to do?
I think getting in too close could compromise Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal will be to get pieces of information, maybe get into specific spots that that might yield something beneficial.
Okay. Why don't you give me 3 stealth rolls, and we'll take the average on your time here, and I'll do 3 general perception checks for their scouts and stuff, and see if anything comes of it.
Hold on, I moved something and it didn't adjust on inventory.
That's because that was already marked as not equipped and not carried.
I see. Okay. Hold on before you do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming when Zoo's out on these scouting missions, Ron will probably cast status on her
Mm-hmm.
in case anything were to go wrong.
£1.3. All it needs to be counted for.
Unfortunately, I think that's everything that I'm wearing.
Oh, hold on, let me check something here. I wonder if this has been wrong for a long time. no, that's correct. Okay, we did correct that. Check something else here. Oh, you could switch the belt that you and Big are wearing. So I'll shift those around. Because we no longer need Big to be a pack animal. Oops, I didn't mean to duplicate that. Because the one that Big was wearing was the one that increases your carrying capacity. So, there you go.
That works.
Because yeah, we got the mega belt for Ozrin, the shadow form belt.
Mm-hmm.
Should I put in the plus 20 for invisibility, or do you just want to add that?
If you're gonna be invisible, yeah, I'll just keep it on the top. You don't have to add it.
Oh no, hold on.
Oh.
Ozrin has the Ring of Chameleon power, so I'm gonna send that over to you. It is not Waz that has it.
Heck yeah.
Not realizing I had it.
Does Ozrin want to give it to Zoo though?
Sure.
Okay.
Ozrin gets to keep the crazy expensive belt that lets her go incorporeal.
Why did it only put me up 5 points?
Because your armor is already shadowed.
Oh, okay. So it only stacks up to a certain amount.
Yeah, it can only stack up to 10.
Oh no, I have to take my plus 35.
Jesus. Yeah, give me 2 more.
Alright, sorry.
It's all good. Oh my god. Why do you guys roll so low? Well, I guess that's why you have a huge bonus, right? It's still really good. And do you speak Giant Zoo?
No, I do not.
Alright. The knowledge you'll get is from your goblin. You don't speak orc, do you?
No.
So yeah, you'll just hear the chatter of the lowly guards, or the lowly minions in the camps that you can witness. You will get sight of I don't think you saw him before, but you will hear the goblins talk about Thogar, and you will actually see him. Let me give you an approximate description for this guy, if it matters to you.
Ooh, does that mean Thogar is not goblinoid or orcish or giant?
Well, he's giant, but I wanted to give you a height so you could kind of metagame what kind of CR / type of giant he is. He is... So you see that his jaw like his facial area contains a pair of tusks that are he has like a weird appearance, and he has a gangly third arm that makes him look really bizarre. You could give me a knowledge local if you have it to try and identify him, but I doubt you have that.
His third arm's an actual arm, right? You're not just
Yes.
using a euphemism?
No, it's an actual third arm. He's some sort of mutated giant or something. He looks grotesque to you. A very weird appearance compared to other giants. But he's about 18 feet tall. And
Jesus.
There are no other giants in this camp that you see. Just this one that you get a sight of. You only see this on one of your trips here. Him walking in the area with the goblins and stuff, and you'll overhear the goblins kind of point out, "Oh, there's Thorgar. There he is." Blah blah. They'll be talking about him, so you'll know that's who it is, and that's who you've heard of that runs this section of the mountains, allegedly. He'll be screaming at them in Giant at one point. You don't understand what he says. And as you listen to a lot of them, they don't understand either. He's yelling at them and pointing in certain areas, and you hear them talking amongst themselves, trying to make sense of what he's saying to them, and they do their best to listen to his orders. Let's see what else you notice. You will find their main camp eventually, where Thorgar resides. You will see that he has 2 small children, or at least they look like his children, running around the main camp. They are kept to a certain area, and in the main camp is deeper into the mountain. I'll kind of just mark it on the map since you were able to find it, if it ever matters for a future game or something, because I'm sure you're passing this intel to someone. Let's just mark this deeper into the mountain, and I'll just put some text on it so we remember.
Thorgar, the Indomitable.
Thorgar's camp. You'll notice that there are clearly... You've seen the different types of orcs and goblins. There are clearly some special people here in this camp. There are 3 orcish spellcasters. I'm not sure if you could tell which one's which. One looks like a divine caster. The other 2 don't have any holy symbols, but they have, you can see, like, component pouches and robish attire compared to the rest of the people. And there seems to be, like, another... It seems to be one orc is kind of, like, higher status than the other, so he looks stronger than the rest. He's probably some sort of chieftain or something like that. Those are the only special kind of things you see here. You get to... Your stealth checks are really good, so I'll give you a little bit more. They seem to be... There is an enclave or an opening that you see a lot of these goblins and orcs going in and out of. And these ones do not look like they're militarized. They look more like laborers. You see them go in. Maybe you're here watching for one whole day. You see them go in early in the morning. They all come out late at night carrying these large crates of wooden crates that are sealed. And they're branded with some symbol of an axe. It's a special axe. It looks like a double-sided, like, orcish kind of weapon that's just kind of branded on these wooden crates. And they're kind of being stacked, clearly looking like they're being used for transporting or something. What other stuff do you see in your days here? Give me a D100. Let's see. We'll see how much I can give you if you catch on to anything extra. Oops, forgot the slash.
There we go.
Ooh, very nice. Yeah, you will... One of these days you will see clearly some humanoid wizard draped in gray, darkish gray robes, hood concealing his face. Early in the morning he comes and teleports these objects with him to somewhere. And it kind of is like a repeat process. You'll notice these crates get stacked up. Maybe you don't catch them every day, but the crates are gone, and it's kind of like a daily thing. Like, clearly he must be coming daily to move these somewhere. And that's the gist of the information you'll get over your days surveying this camp and seeing what's going on here.
Whoever they're trading with. Or where they're taking that stuff.
Back at home, as the months go, or a month goes by. Yeah, no worries. Or were you saying anything?
No, I was talking. Some of that was to myself.
Okay. You will see the first month while Zoo's getting that intel, Osrin's training Ronald's producing, forging. You'll notice the Queen's forces, as the palisades are constructed, they won't make any assault, and they will, your scouts will report them retreating. It's a big convoy of people, so when your scouts get back, they've probably moved a few miles, but they're in the process of moving. Obviously, they sleep at night. They're not, like, rushing back. Does Bissy want to attack the moving convoy? Are there any plans that once this intel reaches you?
Nope. Again, Bissy's trying to, play the I'm only fighting when I have to fight card.
All right. If you don't have any plans, the forces will return to the walls of Rachel.
Because I'm assuming that's the mostly humanoid squadron, right?
Yeah, there are mostly humanoids. There are other races involved in there, but mostly humanoid, like 80%.
So it's not like we can even try to convince them that, like, hey, your leader is gone.
I mean, you could. They're just not. Yeah,
it's not worth it for them. If they're not of those groups, then they probably know where the real king is, where the real queen is, or at least know that the real queen wasn't within that regiment.
Sometime in the next, is there any pertinent information I need to know as time passes? Is there any crucial things you guys are doing aside from what you just said?
No, not for me.
All right. So halfway through the next month, there will be an assassination attempt on Bissy. There are many assassination attempts on Bissy. None of concern, but this one I'm mentioning as it was close. They got into your special fortress or whatever you want to call it, guild area, whatever you made. I don't know what name you gave it. They got close. They not close as in Bissy was like 1 HP, but close as in they got face to face with you. But Evron is always by your side. Bissy and Evron were able to take this assailant down. I don't know if that means anything to you.
When we take the assailant down, does he manage to get away, or do we actually manage to keep at least the body there, if not take him alive?
During the combat, it was clear that there was like some weird thing where the non-lethal wasn't an option. Like, you had to fight to the death, and you fought and he died during the encounter.
And I'm assuming any attempts to probe the body using Speak with Dead or something like that were probably rendered inaccessible. If we're dealing with an assassin of this caliber, I know there are ways to protect against it. But I know that sometimes, if she hired Merakian assassins, they can be a little bit, what's the word? Prideful?
I'm just reading Speak with Dead.
Yeah, if I remember right, if you can jar the soul, or have some other means of having them, not depart under traditional means.
Yeah, I'm assuming you didn't,
Or having the corpse immediately decay, because it needs to be an intact corpse.
Yeah, that's 9th level spell stuff. This guy does not have that.
Okay. I don't know, to get this close to us, I mean... Oh, you mean if his actual 9th level spells. Well, no, there's a spell I thought that you could set up a contingency for that causes a corpse to decay.
Perhaps, but that was not something that
Okay.
they would have thought of or had this guy do this.
So then, yeah, the goal would mostly just be to
Oh, here's
try
the
to.
part, yeah, but he must have
Okay.
a mouth in order to speak at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when he dies, he'll immediately become an undead creature as well, which you can easily kill, but that will prevent speaking with the dead.
Us from getting any info.
Yeah.
But you have... I'm going to check Speak with Soul just to check, because I know you have access to that.
I thought, though, for that we had to know more details than just have the body. Oh, no. Okay, just at the source.
The soul isn't an undead creature. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah. So.
Oh, but there's no compulsion for it to speak truthfully.
Yeah, but yeah, it won't even work because the soul isn't an undead creature. Oh wait. Oh, I was just saying the soul isn't an undead creature.
Yeah, but this wouldn't help anyway. It would just lie to us.
It won't. What kind of questions do you have for it?
The most important thing would be to confirm whether or not it's from Morocco.
No.
Oh.
And from the Queen?
Well, I shouldn't just say it's not lying. You don't know that, I guess. What? Who's got the strongest gauges in the party that's around you?
Yeah, neither of us really. I think it's Everon, technically.
Yeah, let me just double check. Bissy's gauge.
Bissy rolls twice and takes the low on gauge.
Oh, okay. I'm just a little curious what your bonus is. Why am I blind? Why can't I see it here? Oh, here. Oh, you have 14.
It's not gauges. That's motive.
You have 40. You have 14. Okay, yeah, you can roll me 2d20s plus 14, take the lower. There's a way to do it. I forgot how to the formula, but
That's fine. It's easy enough to push the up button.
and let's check Evron's.
Oh, one of those is a natural 20.
Ooh. Evron, what was yours? You had 12, so you can give me a 1d20 plus 12. Well, geez, Bissy's pretty good there, 24. So yeah, Bissy, you're pretty confident it's speaking the truth to you. How many questions do you have? Answers can be brief, cryptic, or repetitive, especially the creature would have opposed you.
I don't think this just has a time limit.
Yeah. It can refuse to answer a question or attempt to deceive you using bluff. Yeah. Any other specific questions you have? You can ask one question
Everyone
per
asked
two
if it was the
tasks.
queen.
Oh, no,
Okay.
Speak with dead, sorry. So you can speak with dead.
It's yeah. Yeah, you are not limited to asking questions and engage in normal conversation with the soul.
Oh, okay.
So Everon's question was whether or not it served the queen.
The answer is no.
Why did you come and attack him?
You got a 24, eh?
Mm-hmm.
It'll respond that there are interested parties other than the ones you currently know about that would that do not favor a how to put it, independent Argarthia. They do not share your vision for the future. They wish your death.
Do they want you? I'll ask if they want the parties to, if those parties want to remain secret.
Yes.
Okay. Do they reside within Argarthia at least? or are they on the exterior?
This is interesting because he doesn't. The fact that he's dead is kind of annoying to him, so he doesn't really have huge allegiance to them. Yeah, he'll say they reside in Umballa, but watch closely from the outside. I was paid a small fortune to. I was a retired assassin. I was paid a small fortune to pick up my daggers once more to try and do this.
Was your family compensated?
Yes, they are well taken care of.
Would you like, if you were brought back, would you be able to see them again?
Ooh. Bringing me back would risk my family. If I'm ever seen, I've lived a good life. I will rest.
If I were to know who your family was, would it put them at risk?
Yes, they would know. Well, maybe not. It would put you, or I'm not sure how the parties involved would react if you would to, if it would imply that I spoke or you got knowledge from me.
Very well. I'm sorry for this not being successful. I know that businesses like these are hard things, and I know that you're given minimal information about all the things that are going on. I wish you could have chosen a more beneficial path for yourself, but I appreciate that you've taken care of your family.
Before it dissipates, it'll let you know that your enemies have spent time gathering information to get him to where he is, and that as long as Argarthia remains ununited, you are in danger.
Then perhaps the people of Umballa must know that it is not our side that needs assassination. If they think that I am the one to be taken out, they will only continue to fail to unify Aldebaran, or Argarthia.
Before it dissipates, so just to be clear, it's not the official Umballa government. It's some independent organizations. And
right, but the idea is this gives me an idea. I'm gonna ruminate on this for a little while, and I will get back to you separately about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, the soul will dissipate, and the next major event, which is the last major event from me, and then I'll need to know how you guys want to respond, is allegedly the queen is murdered in her sleep. The rumors come out that she is killed by by the people, and that they claim allegiance to Bissy and they want this war to be over. Now, you have a good spy network, you have Mr. B, you look into the truth of this. Your intel, after a few weeks of this rumor propelling out, is that this inner city is in a state of chaos. There's no leadership. It seems that your intel says the queen has fled south towards Umballa. She just... any reason for that is she just wants to get away from this country.
It wasn't actually killed, is what you were saying.
What's that?
She wasn't actually murdered.
No.
Yeah, it was staged.
It was staged, and it was to convince you or others that she is dead so that she's not pursued. But your intel is good. You have a lot of connections, and you will find out that she did or is en route to Umballa to allegedly go into obscurity. Just allegedly. There is some faint rumor that perhaps she's trying to regather her old banners of friends to surprise attack and reclaim her land eventually. But your intel is strongly suggesting it won't be in her lifetime. She probably is harboring some grudge toward you specifically, Bissy, and that her family will grow up with tales of that their rightful land is up north. You must reclaim it, etc., etc.
I have begun a blood feud that I didn't ask for.
Mr. B will give you unasked for advice and say that you should murder her family to prevent this, but he knows you probably won't go for it. He's just suggesting it. He knows that's not something that you would want to do. He's just saying, if you want your children's children not to deal with this, I suggest we end her line. But, of course, that's up to you. He is not the new pseudo-ruler of Argarthia. And yeah, that's just his advice to you. I'm assuming you ignore it or don't want to go murdering babies across the sea.
Yeah, I would ignore it. I would take it into like some level of consideration, but not deeply, but enough to really like inform Mr. B that the words aren't lost. It's not like a meaningless statement. The fact that Mr. B feels it's this important, and he knows that like overall Mr. B has largely not been like kill everyone that's a problem, right? He doesn't typically take the Moroccan approach to this. There's always either money or some other arrangement you can do to solve the problem. And here, like hearing Mr. B suggest murder will like ring deeply to him and really make Bissy rethink things.
Yeah, he offers you that, but he also says there's a plan B. He will motion to Evron. I'm assuming it's a group meeting. He'll motion to Evron and his elven mage and say that the elves are good with memory modification as well as bards. He can suggest a more nefarious
This is not
plan.
the way. This isn't really the way Bissy would want to do it either. Bissy wants Bissy wants things to happen as organically as possible, and Bissy will acknowledge that maybe this is a fault of his. Maybe it's just that he's seen too much bloodshed or made too many mistakes in his own life. But Bissy's goal will be to, like, if there must continue to be blood at the hands of leaders, then Bissy will continue to try to stand true, try to convince the people, and will try to forge a legacy of people that will follow in his footsteps, fighting every sword with word, fighting every death with growth and new life.
Yeah, he will admire your compassion for these unborn assailants and lets you know that perhaps your reputation will precede you and they won't even seek war. Perhaps they won't follow in their mother's footsteps. Who knows?
It is hard to make people think that people are not monsters if they have been told from their infancy that the monsters are coming to get them and that they have been forced to see monsters that weren't really there. I imagine her children will see things like false attempts at murder, assassination, false assassinations. These sorts of things, I'm sure, will become commonplace theater for the family and will take some time before they'll ever wake up to it.
Indeed.
In the meantime, though, we must get Rachel under control.
Yes. What is your plan for that? Do you assume the throne temporarily to set order? Do you, tell me, how do you do this? Everyone kind of looks to Bissy as the new king for now.
What happened to the queen's viziers? What happened especially to, I keep wanting to call him Galandriel, but that...
Galore.
That is a different Galore, thank you.
Yeah,
what happened to Galore?
He remains, sorry, I'm just correcting some spelling in my notes here. He remains not in position, but in Rachel. You'll know that his allegiance is to the crown, not to a specific person. So whoever rules the kingdom.
I think Bissy would ask him how he would feel if the crown were a symbol of a group of people instead of an individual, and he were a member of that crown. I think Bissy, again, with Bissy's arbitrary trust of people, Bissy has for some reason trusted Galur quite a bit.
He will let you know that in his lifetime he has been one not to seek power, as it those people are usually in the line of fire for things, and politics isn't his game. So he's willing to remain as a consultant / archmage, but he doesn't want to be on any council that has any ruling authority.
Would he have suggestions for, say, 5 people to fill in such a council?
Yes, he lets you know since the Queen's passing, is... so basically he lets you know that in order to create some stability, selecting someone from to be on the council would be the most politically advantageous thing. They run this. They pretty much Stormford Prison is run by them. So if you give someone a seat of power, you kind of roll them into the fold or buy into this new thing you're doing. He recommends a dwarf from the west, picking one from either Light Hazelin, Ian Beck, Ian Brock. They're all dwarven cities, picking some representation from their group. They usually are in line with each other. So if maybe you leave it up to them to pick a representative. And he would suggest 1 or 2 people from... he'll suggest at least one person from Alberta, since that's the big trade hub. They probably would want a seat of power. And then he suggests 1 from the 3 cities to the south that kind of rules over there, and then 1 from the north, Aldebaran, aka probably should be Bissy.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a reasonable idea. Bissy would try to be very quick about it as he can, but reach out to Alberta, to the dwarves as a whole, of Einbeck, Einbrock, and Lighthausen, or maybe talk to them about whether or not they would want to be lumped together as one, and then a representative from Rachel as well, and sort of set a representation standard. A city has to exceed a certain population in order to have representation in the Crown's Council. They may still send delegates, but their delegates will not have voting power without growth on major things. This would not involve their own local decisions, because he still wants to keep autonomy to the states or to the cities themselves.
Okay, so let me reaffirm this. You want a 5-person council. 1's going to be a dwarf from the east, one person from Alberta, 1 person from the southern cities, and who else? 1 from Aldebaran / Bissy, or no?
Correct.
Is Bissy on the council?
1 from Aldebaran, possibly Bissy.
Okay, so possibly Bissy.
If it is Bissy, it will be Bissy not in actual Bissy form. It will be Bissy sending some sort of duplicate of himself there.
Okay. And then the last person, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last person, you want someone from Rachel. Someone from so that's 5.
No, we've got the dwarves, Alberta, Aldebaran. No, and then it would be Rachel, right? Am I miscounting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I have 5 without Rachel yet. 1 dwarf, 1 person from Alberta, 1 from the southern cities, 3 cities to the south, 1 from Aldebaran, and 1 from It's 5.
Yeah, we can make it 6. I'm fine with 6.
Okay, and then how are you picking someone from Rachel? The cleric abandoned the city. Likely.
Well, I wouldn't want that cleric anyway.
I know. I'm just letting you know that the cleric is gone. There are a bunch of noble families.
I would offer it up to elections in the city if we can get if people are willing to go forward with it. We start having people pass out information that an upcoming election to determine the mayor. I'll start referring to it as the mayor of Rachel.
Okay.
And then after they've selected a mayor of Rachel, we'll start sending out information about the forging of the new crown. and what that means.
So yeah, the council, you'll still want Rachel to be the capital, and the council kind of... So, okay, let me get this straight. The cities are all independent, so what exactly power does the council have?
So the council has... The crown will have the ability to make sweeping changes if sweeping changes are necessary. If there is something that is deemed large enough that the whole country should fall in line.
So we're kind of going to federal/state system?
To some degree.
Okay.
There will probably be a lot more regulations at the federal level in this particular case, but he wants to try to let the cities be as autonomous as they can be.
So just for example, let's say there's a federal law saying like dragon meat's illegal. Can each city make it legal, or do they have to follow the overarching federal?
Each city is welcome to petition against such a thing, and there will be a window of time during the petitioning period where it can remain different from the federal, and until such a time that the crown determines whether or not that should be, we make an exception for that specific region for that thing. And it's likely exceptions will be allowed under specific circumstances.
Okay, but normal course, no petitioning. The council makes a law, it's law of the land, and then the cities can have their own individual laws, but
yes.
They can petition to change certain things if they don't agree with the council's rulings.
Yes. The crown is also there to solve disputes between the cities or between other trade issues with various places, to act as an organized front against other countries and make sure that trade has higher equity between them, and to ensure that there is good military preparation, up to and including helping to ensure that there are military forces in all of the cities, not just in the cities that that are able to muster them. To ensure that an event like what had to transpire here before never has to transpire again.
So kind of spreading out the military strength instead of concentrating it into a few cities.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Alright, so this is all going to take some time.
Yep.
Bissy puts this plan forward, and the country begins to change in this format. The war is officially over. Osrin can, I guess, how do you guys see your characters operating in this new framework? Do you want to, I guess Bissy kind of collects you all. You kind of are before Bissy at this point. He kind of lays these plans out before you, and he probably asks you where you see yourselves in this grand scheme of things. Does Osrin want to keep being an instructor for the military? Does Osrin want to go back to the wilds? Do you want to settle down in one of the cities? Does Zoo want to go back and go to the tribes? Do you want to continue your scouting missions? Do you want to continue working with Ronald? Does Ronald can still be crafting and foraging. He doesn't need to anymore. I mean, there's still going to be military and there's still going to be needs for that, but I don't know if that's it's not immediately needed, so I don't know if that's what he wants to do. So yeah, well, how do each of you see your characters in this new world? Where would you like to go?
Well, to give the other two a little bit more time, Ronald is going to devote his resources towards more projects, being a resource to help others solve the various projects they have throughout the country, allowing people to sort of come to him, offer up a problem that they have, and create a means of help them create a means of solving it. If it's large enough.
What does that mean?
So,
out of game, he's going to be a quest giver in the new game.
I mean, essentially, yes. He will be there to offer up, he's basically looking for problems that, just can't be solved in one or two instances of sending out a crew. It's the kind of thing where he's looking for the larger problems, listening in for people who are like, I have this problem, it looks like this. He then asks Zoo to go look into it. Zoo finds out whether or not it's a really large problem or a really small problem. If it's a small problem, he passes the project on to somebody else and says, here, these people will probably be able to help you with this. Otherwise, he enlists the services of crews that he has put together, hopefully over time, to solve these much larger problems. If Zoo is still willing to work as his scout.
Izu.
Yeah.
And to Osrin, I think Bissy would offer that next to Gabby, you have been the best trainer I have, one of the most effective warriors I have had in my force. You are by no means merely an ember anymore. You are an inferno. You can bring about much, much change. If all you wish to do is teach, I am happy to provide you with my best students, the best resources, the most time you could need to train as many people as you can, and make sure that this country is safe. However, retirement is always nice. Who wouldn't want a good retirement, right?
How do you know?
Because I have longed for it for quite some time. But I found myself in a pickle. Every problem I solve creates 2 or 3 more. One day, I'll have time to sleep. That day
Are
is
there
not
really
today.
problems solved if they generate new problems?
The lives of others have improved with many of the actions I've taken, and overall have improved with most of the actions I've taken. That is what I want for this country. It's what I want for you.
Are you done with your speech, or are you still going?
Are you and Everon related in some way?
I don't know, he seems pretty cool. Smart guy.
Very smart guy, indeed.
Yeah, I think I would like to be in a city, primarily training, but doing some mission work as needed just to make sure I stay sharp. But I would not want to go out on my own. I'm too old for that shit.
Yes, I think your best place is Isloot. It's a growing city. There's going to be a lot of maybe some random creatures that are going to stop production at some point, or stop. Basically, they
That
need
would
someone.
actually be perfect, yeah, to have like a level 8 or increasing in power fighter there for the, well, we just chopped down this leg of forest, and there's some creature we've never seen before with 60 tentacles and is trying to eat all the workers there.
Yeah, so Osrin can kind of take a handle on that. It'll still give you that sense of adventure, and you'll have just your day-to-day will be just... Isloot will kind of become they have that big gladiator pit. It'll basically be where the military forces get trained up and then they get dispersed around the country.
Yeah, I like that.
What about you, Zoo? Are you just content being chilling with Ronald and Aldebaran and waiting for him helping him doing any scouting he needs and that's it? Or do you have any other grand plans for Zoo to do anything?
Not unless there's anything else that I'd be able to do about the giants other than scouting.
So, there is something for Zoo to consider. While you are scouting, you will be spotted a matter of time once or something by some other goblins, and basically you're going to hear that you have become a legend amongst the goblins. You're probably one of the strongest goblins to have ever existed in memory to them. A lot of them are asking you to come back to the tribes, to make your own tribe, to free the goblins that are being enslaved across the mountains. You'll know that this is a common phenomenon throughout all the mountain ranges. Anywhere there's a giant, they have slaves of goblins. and they will kind of plead with you to handpick your crew and help liberate goblin kind. I don't know if that's something Zoo wants to be in charge of. But you get word that a lot of the goblin tribes have been disrupted, captured, and basically enslaved by these giants in the past five-ish years. This has been happening. So, no goblin to date has reached such renown. Level 8 warrior.
I don't know if I feel like I could do it all on my own, but there are people that I know I can go to for advice on stuff.
You want to be a troop leader?
It's a good trainer that can put together a good group of goblins to assist you.
You don't have to, obviously, have a final decision now, but this is just something... essentially, these are just out of character. These are a lot of startups for other games that could happen.
Yep.
Zoo herself doesn't have to lead this, but you could help handpick the people you assign to this, because you're good at scouting and you're not good at front line, running down the lines, fighting giants hand to hand. That's not something in little arrows against giants. Thematically doesn't sound too good, but obviously mechanically, if you have giants bane arrows, you can take down giants easily. But just maybe thematically, a little goblin isn't psyched about facing down an army of giants. So maybe you take your time and you try to seek out some warriors to help you do this. It's something you could be working on with Ronald. Could be as people, travelers, adventurers come through the cities. You're on the lookout for people that could fit the bill for taking down or freeing goblins. So it's just something you can be working on. It sounds like Zoo wants to stay with near Ronald, and I mean Osrin's still.
It was part of Ronald's goal anyway, is to figure out what's going on with all the goblin stuff. So. Mm-hmm. You can be a force to recur. You can be like Ronald, be a quest giver, or like the person who is feeding the party the information when they arrive at the place to go. Zoo can be standing there letting them know what's on the inside, what they're gonna face, who's gonna be their friends, who's gonna be their foes. And I can't wait to be in the campaign, having been trained by Osrin one day.
I want to do a campaign where they're the children of the queen, that their goal is to retake our guardian.
Leave that for other parties.
But yeah, I think that's all I have for now. I think we have just Waz's surprise developments.
God.
Yeah. So as far as Waz is concerned, Waz is very very bothered by, like, Waz is very bothered by the way that people think that, like, doing the nice thing, doing the good thing is the right thing to do. The party feeling, constantly being bothered by Waz's opinions of, like, doing things the dirty way, I think got to her really badly. Waz, I think, wants to see something big burn in the country. Something to like convince them that the only way to accomplish things isn't without violence. You can't always be a friend. You can't always be on the right side. You sometimes have to take desperate measures to get things done. And I think to some degree, like, Waz might have been willing to go back to the Queen, to go back into Rachel, and like offer the Queen some information, not like where is Bissy or how to get at him, but tried to use something as sort of a carrot on a stick for her, in the hopes that eventually Waz could prove that you can betray the Queen, that you can get close enough and you can take the advantage, and that Waz was better than the rest of the party could have been at getting the real job done.
What does that mean?
Waz intends to try to like set things up to reach a point where the Queen would trust her enough that she get close enough to assassinate her.
So yeah, to earn the Queen's trust, she'd give you Waz a very simple mission. She wants you to blow up the prison. She wants, as her parting gift to Bissy, she wants escaped criminals to cause mayhem throughout the country, and for him to clean that up and not be her problem. Waz would know, in general, there's probably a bunch of people that are in prison there falsely. There also probably are very dangerous criminals in there. So it's a mixture of people. So it'd be a morally like kind of, it's not like for sure you're unleashing hell on earth, but it's like probably like 25% good, 75% bad kind of thing.
Yeah, Waz's goal that would be to like get as much information about the prisoners as possible. So that when they're all let out and when she gets to take out the Queen, she will go and single-handedly kill each individual prisoner that resided in there.
Even the good ones?
Even the good ones. If they are imprisoned, they should have done a better job pleading their case.
Jesus.
That's fucked up.
Waz is a pretty fucked up character. I figure like the Queen's assassination attempt can be that like she discovered Waz's plot, and so like Waz is caught, but they like sort of let it go to look like, you know, a successful assassination. So
does Waz pursue her to try to find her and kill her?
I think they would like set it up to make Waz think Waz had successfully assassinated the Queen.
Okay.
So Waz has no idea that it was a failed assassination attempt. She like gets in and like burns the bed, burns the bodies.
That makes sense. I think the only people that know the Queen's still alive is literally Bissy, whoever Bissy tells, and Mr. B.
Yeah.
And I think Galore probably knows, and the council, whoever they are, eventually would probably know that. So there's probably like a handful of people that know. So yeah.
And then the remainder of Waz's lifetime will be tracking down former criminals of Stormford Prison.
Is she at all interested in the problem with the goblins? Because she, I forgot, is also a very high-level goblin.
No, because if you remember right, maybe I didn't put. I don't think I made this as clear, but Waz hated like traditional goblin society. It's just so reckless. It's so all over the place. Like, and whenever you finally get a smart person in, it only takes a little while before some super strong person like busts in with a force of goblins and overtakes the smart person. It's just a very reckless society that never wants to improve itself. So as far as Waz is concerned, goblin society can go fuck itself. It's already fucked itself. It's going to continue to fuck itself.
All right, and I guess before we go to like wrapping up here, I guess it's a little hard because it's like Steve versus Steve versus Steve. But how does Bissy hears about this releasing of the prisoners? His intel is pretty good. He knows Waz is now a vigilante hunting these people down. Does he deal with this? Does he let it resolve itself with Waz doing this hunting down? Does he pay any resources to this, or
no? This is not a fight worth dealing with. no one knows who Waz is. No one cares. Maybe someday someone will. But that day is a long time away from now, and likely won't be a day where Bissy still lives or where Bissy needs to deal with it anyway.
Okay.
Bissy will, though, keep putting out messages about how there are plans to deal with the prisoners. We are in the works of dealing with things. At some point, though, just to make sure that he knows that Waz is out there, he will make some sort of nod to it, wording it in such a way to make sure that Waz knows he's referring to her without actually without making it public knowledge, right? One of those.
Well, I'm sure Waz picks up a pseudonym or some sort of vigilante disguise. There's probably going to be some name that calls her some sort of not like Batman, something like that. She becomes some sort of force people know about. So when they see the average citizen will probably recognize whatever she calls herself or something, and so Bissy can probably make some allusion to that. It's kind of where the cops are always trying to.
We don't encourage vigilantism. We are working to bring the prisoners back into the prison.
But he's not really trying that hard to do it. Kind
Correct.
Of thing. So yeah, it's like the Batman thing where the cops are trying to catch him, but they don't really care because he's. Well, in this case, Waz is actually killing them, so it's kind of sketchy,
Bissy does care, but it's if I go after this person, it's resources I can't use to get the rest of the country in line. And the biggest worry he has is that eventually she'll finish up with prisoners and start looking for something more entertaining. But maybe she'll clean up the circus at that point.
Jesus.
Well, the circus, I mean the devils and demons that were within the circus, not the circus itself.
Well, that pretty much
Unless
is
the circus is all demons and devils, at
pretty
which
much.
point... Oh, okay. It's a fucking terrible circus, John.
I mean, they're only incubi and succubi, so they don't kill people. They just drain them of their life.
Yeah,
slowly.
drain them of all their energy.
Yeah.
Leave them as empty husks. What are they, all my exes?
Jesus.
Oh, got him. Sorry. It was mostly for comedic effect, not really meant.
Of course.
Wait, what's that eye roll?
Yeah, so that's all I have. That was great. Thank you. You guys have helped build out the world even more. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Do you have any final questions or anything for me before we wrap up?
Thanks, John. That was a really fun game.
Thank you.
Into it, and I appreciate it.
I hope you guys enjoyed playing and you had fun with your characters and you're happy with how things turned out. Seemed like a relatively happy ending for everyone, somewhat.
I feel like Osborne is so evolved now. He's turning his pride into wanting to help others.
Yeah. I think you guys will have great roles, or your characters will have some great roles to play in some future things in my future campaigns. Their names will definitely be things that come up, which will be great.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that's all I got.
Well, no regrets about this campaign, John. Absolutely no regrets.
All right. GG, thanks for anyone who's watching, and I'm going to cut the stream.
GG.
GG.
Good night.
All right.